Sarah Wyngaard, U.S. immigration attorney, and I am here today to answer your U.S. visa question of the day. Okay, so today we're going to cover a little bit about TN visas and more specifically preparing for your TN visa interview, which is really crucial for a successful application. We're going to cover some common questions that'll be asked by government officials during the process, which are really going to revolve around your qualifications and the job duties for the TN visa. They might touch on ties to your home country, but that's really more for renewals rather than initial applications. Now, we're going to include some expert tips, including maybe considering land border crossings over going to the airport. We're going to discuss the importance of being prepared for basic questions that you will answer honestly and directly, and the significance of bringing all relevant documents and being well organized for the meeting as well. So following these strategies can greatly increase your chance of obtaining that TN visa that you're after. Okay, so on to number one. The first thing to consider is where you will have your interview. Now, a lot of you already know, but TN visas are available for Canadian and Mexican citizens, but the process is a little bit different. For Canadians, you can apply for a TN visa at a U.S. port of entry or a pre-clearance location. Now, some of the entry points have a higher rate of approval than others, so you can always give us a call if you have questions about which locations are better than others right now. Personally, I tend to think land crossings are a bit better than going to the airport because sometimes airport staff they're overworked and they might be a bit grumpy and more strict about the exact definition of TN jobs. Right now, a lot of people would recommend against going to Pearson's as well. During the interview, a CBP officer is going to review your documents and they're going to ask you questions about your intended employment, your qualifications. They might touch on ties to Canada, but that's really more for renewals rather than initial applications. Now, the interview is typically pretty brief and straightforward, as long as your documents are in order and you do meet the TN visa requirements. Alrighty, on to Mexico. For Mexican citizens, you will schedule a visa appointment either in Juarez, Guadalajara, or Mexico City. Right now, we recommend against applying at the Guadalajara consulate because they do have a very high rate of denial for what I personally consider to be valid TN applicants that should have been approved. So during the interview, a consular officer is going to review your documents and they're going to ask you questions similar to those asked of the Canadian citizens, but the interview may be a bit more formal and in-depth compared to the process for Canadians. All right, on to number two, on to the interview prep. Be prepared. Okay, be prepared for basic questions that you will be asked about the job and about how it fits into the TN category, also how your degree relates to the position. I must say that sometimes we found that some officers seem to want to try to trip you up to say something that will disqualify you for that TN status. So only answer the questions that are asked. All right, I'll give you some more commonly asked TN visa interview questions. They might ask, what's your current occupation and how does it relate to this job offer up in the United States? Another one, can you describe your qualifications and your background, how you're qualified for this TN position? They might ask, what are your job responsibilities in your current role and how will that translate to your new position up in the United States? They often asked if you've previously worked up in the United States and in what capacity. And right now, they are also asking how an applicant learned about the job opportunity up in the United States as well. Okay, on to point number three. Really important is number three. Be honest and concise. Now, this is really crucial. Never ever lie to the officers, but only answer exactly the questions that are asked of you and try not to ramble in your response as well. Alrighty, number four, bring all relevant documents and be organized and prepared. Now, you got to remember that these officers see kind of all aspects of humanity. So if you can be well organized, you can make their life easier and they're going to appreciate it. You're going to have a higher chance of success in your TN visa application. You got to make sure you bring all the relevant documents, including, your college diploma. Make sure, another one is make sure that that your offer letter has that original wet signature on it as well. So those are kind of some tips for TN visa applying for them right now. We do appreciate you watching. By familiarizing yourself with these common TN visa interview questions and following these preparation tips, you're going to be well equipped to make a strong impression during that interview. Remember, the interviewer's primary goal is to verify your eligibility for the TN visa and ensure you meet the qualifications for the proposed job. So you got to stay focused, you got to be confident, and showcase your skills and expertise. Now, good luck with your TN visa interview.